Excited for this because I got to know you guys more when you guys were on my podcast, Chasing Glory, which was so exciting. And if you guys want to hear their in-depth story as to how the journey of Chasing Glory has been, you got to tune in. And you guys revealed a lot in there, and I realized that you have very similar past a little bit. One of the things were you guys both, since a very young age, have just been so disciplined. Very disciplined. Now, you knew right at 14 years old that you wanted to become a wrestler. Like, that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, you look back even before that. I mean, I just loved professional wrestling from the first time I saw it. So, I mean, maybe it was like born in me, I don't know. But yeah, 14 was when it clicked for me and I was ready to go. But even before that, it was my obsession. And it was something that I just watched and worshipped day in and day out.
And I know that with you actually were in all sorts of different sports, and cheerleading was a big thing for you too. So wrestling didn't come till later, but you were disciplined right early on from 4 years old.
Yeah, my parents had me in competitive gymnastics from the age of 4. And during the off-season of gymnastics, I was in softball. And during cheer, the off-season of that, I was in kickboxing, track, bodybuilding. And after college, I was doing bodybuilding, and I said, I want more. And my trainer told me about WWE was having a tryout. And he knew that I was a fan because it was something that my family all got together and do and watched together. And it was awesome. But, yeah, I've been very regimented and very disciplined as a child.
So one thing that you guys revealed was the fact that because you were so disciplined, you guys didn't really go out to the parties, and you didn't, go out with your friends and all of that. And I remember, Seth, you revealing that was a little difficult because you didn't know whether the sacrifice you were making was even going to pay off.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually just had lunch with a friend from here in Chicago, and we were reminiscing about her college years and how much fun she had. And I was just saying how much I regret not going to college, not because of the lack of education, but just the human-to-human experience, if you will, the stuff I missed out on. I spent, my formative years, 18 to 22, which are normal college years for people, traveling to little towns in Indiana and Illinois and stuff like that, wrestling in front of 20 people. I'm sure there might be some of you guys out there who were there, but yeah. Wrestling for AAW or IWA Mid-South or what have you. So, yeah, I spent my years, learning from Ian Rotten and Mitch Page as opposed to professors and doctors and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely a different way to spend your late teen years, I guess.
Do you feel because of that, and I'll come to you in a minute, do you feel because of that, though, that you, like you said, at that point, you're like, am I doing the right thing? Like, what got you through to keep going, even though you even said that you were wrestling sometimes for even no money?
Yeah, I mean, I lost money on a lot of those trips, but to be honest with you, it was, the fans for the most part, I would say. And even if it was 10 or 20 people, I would be at a show at a carnival and with a dirt surrounding the ring, but there would be 2 kids in the front row that were having the times of their lives, and they would go home that weekend and, the next week tell their friends about it. And I was always hoping that I could inspire those kids the way I was inspired when I was younger. So that's sort of what kept me moving forward, feeling like I was making progress all the time, even if I was spinning my wheels sometimes.
And Alexa, for you, that you've sacrificed so much from such an early age, were there times that were like, God, I really do want to go to this get-together or birthday party or anything like that? Do you feel like you missed out at all?
Well, no. Seth knows. I'm like probably the most antisocial.
Yeah, she might be the only person I know that's more antisocial than I am. So.
Yeah, for me, even when I was in college, I was driving home on the weekends and training with my trainer. And it was to the point where my mom even told me, she's like, I love you, but you got to stop coming home. Because I just I would study during the week. I had football games, I would cheer those, and I would just drive home. And just, I love the fact that I've dedicated my life to athletics and my career. And that's what that's what I chose to dedicate my time to. And it didn't help that I wasn't allowed to go to parties either, because I remember in high school I would tell my mom, I'd be like, I'm not allowed to have friends. I'm not going to have any friends. And she would say, well, your friends are not paying for your college. I am. So I don't care. So that kind of helped. But yeah, I'm very dedicated to what I'm working on. And I'm very antisocial, actually.
And that's, that is something you guys both talked about. You talked about, well, you especially had said you were an introvert and how this has actually helped you so much. Would you say that you still feel like you get in situations, because I'm sure that there's introverts out there, and right? It's not.
Yeah, for the introverts.
I'm sure that sometimes it's tough and you think like, I can't come out of the shell. This is just who I am. But you said, no, it's not going to be who I am, and I will conquer this. How?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still introverted, and I don't really think anything's wrong with that. I'm obviously a lot more comfortable as I'm sitting here on stage with all of you. So, this is not necessarily something I would have been comfortable doing, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But the nature of our industry is relationships with people. And so to some extent, being a pro wrestler, being an entertainer, someone who's got to act larger than life, even if I don't feel it all the time, it certainly has brought that out of me. And I've become Seth Rollins more and more as the years have gone on. And so it's just helped me, expand that side of my personality. Don't get me wrong. I love to stay in and do absolutely nothing and play video games all day long and avoid human contact at all costs. But I also really enjoy experiences like this as well. So it's cool to be able to do both sides.
And it also helps, it's amazing how much we can feel your energy. And already here, it's just a very warm energy that you guys are giving out. So thank you. Definitely. It helps them to open up too. For you, what was the easiest way for you to get out of, being introverted and being scared to face certain things?
See, I love to perform. That is what I love to do. I always say that, as a person, I'm very quiet, unless I'm in a one-on-one situation. That's why I like doing signings and the autographs and stuff like that, because one-on-one, I will talk your ear off all day. But if it's three of us, I get really quiet because I like to sit back and watch and listen. But for me, it was when I started All-Star Cheer. In gymnastics, you're very regimented and you don't really show a lot of personality. You just smile at the judges and that's it. In All-Star Cheer is when I learned to perform in front of large crowds, and that's when but that didn't even help, because I remember my first promo class in NXT, I cried because I was standing in front of 10 people, and I cried. I shook, I cried, I said, I can't do this. And I remember Dusty Rhodes, amazing. I loved working with Dusty, and he was like, baby, you got to get over that. And I was like, easy, done, all right. And working with Dusty helped me to be able to be in front of a large group of people, and I love it now. I love being in the ring. I love interacting. That's why I love doing the in-ring promos, because we get our energy from you guys. And even though, and that's why I love it so much, because we get to interact. We get to have fun with it, even though a lot of you guys want me half the time. Yeah, I heard you. It's still so fun, and I love it. And I think that's kind of what's helped me, is the fact that I love to perform. I love interacting with people, and that's kind of what brought me out of my shell. And I feel like being in the ring allows me to do that, and I love it.
Seth, is there a time, like she was saying, is there a time that you've ever frozen? Like you've ever had such a moment that you were like, ah?
Oh, man, I don't know. No, I've had some really bad mess ups, with my lines on TV, particularly when I was a heel. But it was really nice. As a bad guy, you can just screw up, and it doesn't matter because everyone's supposed to hate you anyway.
Do you remember one in particular?
Dude, there was one where I couldn't. There was a tongue twister of sorts that I couldn't say, and I tried to say it anyway. And I remember going over the line backstage, and I just kept messing it up. But I was like, I'll get it when I'm out there. I'll get it when I'm out. And then I was on stage, and I tried to spit it out, and I couldn't. And I ended up just going, and that was on live TV. So
Solid.
But the good thing was, like I said, I was a bad guy, and you're supposed to hate me, so who cares, right?
What happens if you have that line and you're a baby face? What the hell do you do?
Luckily, I have not encountered that yet. So I'm sure, knock on wood, I'll run into that problem sooner or later, but I haven't got there yet. It's hard being cool on TV, man. Everybody hates everything, so
I feel like I would just call myself out. I'd be like, oh, God, you all hear that? Mess that up. Let's try that again.
Yeah,
Oh,
who
man.
knows? I hope we don't ever have to experience
no.
it. I mean, you'll
It
never
is-
be a good guy anyway. But
I've had my experiences of even saying the wrong name when I've been announcing, of like the wrong wrestler's name completely. So
That was ring announcing.
you did that?
Oh my gosh, in NXT, I was the ring announcer for like the longest time, and I could not get Rusev's name right to save my life. I kept calling him like Alex Ruska, like it was just like, mind you, it was like my first week.
Ruska Day? I don't think that doesn't have the same ring to it.
I messed it up bad, like every week, to the point where I had a sticky note with his name on the back of the microphone.
Oh
So
my
whenever it's time to come out, I would just look at the sticky note, and then I was pretty solid.
Thank God you're a wrestler now and not a ring announcer.
God.
I'm actually glad that didn't work out and wrestling worked out for you for sure. All right, size. Girl, let me tell you, for anybody who thinks that size, that they can't do something because they're too short or too small or something, you've proven them wrong. Wow. I mean, you have proven them wrong. And I will say, watching the Elimination Chamber match, I was so impressed with all of you. It was incredible because literally when it got announced, I was like, wow. I mean, you know, the guys, we've seen them in their Elimination Chamber match, and it's always an awe-inspiring thing. But I'm like, this chamber is huge, and Alexa is really going to be like, but no, you stepped up. You did so good. How did that match feel for you and the fact that you actually won it?
Well, when I first saw the chamber, I was quite terrified. You don't realize how big and intimidating the chamber is until you're in there. Even the pods that you're standing in are just huge and so tall. And I remember thinking that I wanted to do the Twisted Bliss off the pod. Was going to do it no matter what. My biggest issue was, how was I getting up there? Because I'm 5 foot, like a solid 5 foot, 5'1" on a good hair day, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get up there. But it was amazing to have that moment with all of the women in the ring, and, you know, it was awesome. And everyone's so talented that I get to work with, and I'm so lucky to have that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so nice to be in the ring with so many talented people, and we all wanted that moment to be special, and it was special. And to be the first ever woman to win a women's Elimination Chamber match was awesome. Thanks, guys.
And Seth, have you ever gone to a moment where you're like she said, she stood in there and she was just like, whoa. What has been your whoa moment since you have come into the WWE?
Oh, man. I've had way too many whoa moments, man. I've been very fortunate in the past 6 years to have some insane whoa moments. I got to be in the ring at Survivor Series a few years back when Sting made his WWE debut. First time he'd ever stepped foot in a WWE ring.
And by the way, he actually dressed up as Sting for Halloween 2 years in a row. How wild is that?
Yeah.
That then all of a sudden he gets to compete with Sting. That was incredible.
I mean, stuff like that's just wild to me. I've gotten to stand across the ring and cut promos with the late Roddy Piper, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan. We talked about, you mentioned Dusty Rhodes, and his birthday was, I believe, yesterday, right? And so they showed a lot of replays of a tag team match I got to have. It was me and Roman against the Rhodes brothers, Dustin and Cody. But Dusty was in their corner, and that was like the last big thing he did for WWE as well before he passed. So, I mean, those are all wow moments. Obviously, for me, I think the craziest one you mentioned in the intro was cashing in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. And just standing at the end of WrestleMania with the World Heavyweight title over your head with fireworks going off. As a little kid from a small town in Iowa, when that was my dream. That's me, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded in Game 7, hitting a home run. So it really doesn't get any bigger than that for me. So of all the wow moments, the holy cow type moments, that's probably number one.
And I know that you still got your eyes set, you said, at headlining WrestleMania one day.
Yeah, I mentioned it